I'm teaching you how to lead, how to survive. And to do that, you're going to have to fight.
Well, hello there, guys. Darth Christensen here, and welcome back to another video. And today's a pretty interesting video because I'm going to be going over my own concept and ideas as for what the first ever lightsaber would look like, designed by the first ever Jedi in like 25,000 BBY, which is thousands of years before even the Old Republic. So last night I was on a live stream with Star Wars Theory and Roger Christian, and Roger Christian, if you didn't know, was like the original inventor of the first lightsaber back in 1977, where he took a piece of the Graflex. He took a piece of the Graflex camera to make Anakin/Luke's lightsaber, and he was one of the people who stood by George since day one. So he's one of the goats of Star Wars. And while they were launching the Father Saber, which is basically like a Vader-inspired lightsaber, which is basically like a Vader saber inspired by Ralph McQuarrie's concept art, and they were going through like some other ideas of what other sabers to design, and one of them was what the first ever lightsaber built in lore would look like what at the first ever lightsaber built by the Jedi Order, or after they moved away from the Force-imbued swords, or during the dawn of the Jedi era. And this got me this sent me deep into thought and inspired me to draw a piece of concept art for what the first lightsaber hilt would look like at the beginning of the lore. So from what I know was that the Jedi, when they first started out, before lightsabers were a thing, they used like these swords that were imbued with the Force. So I wanted to like draw this concept art of what I think the first ever lightsaber looked like in the dawn of the Jedi era. And Huyang was also built during this era because he's 25,000 years old. So it would be really interesting to see like if Huyang helped the Prime Jedi build the first lightsaber. And from what little we know in lore or in legends, the Prime Jedi was on Tython, but in canon the Prime Jedi was on Ach-To. So with everything in mind, I just wanted to piece together everything I can and to make this lightsaber hilt right here, which is my concept for what the first ever lightsaber would look like. So let's go through some of the details of the hilt. So starting at the top, we got these black emitter shrouds, and they look very similar to Cal Kestis and also Sabine Wren's hilt. Well, actually, Ezra's hilt when Sabine owned it, but you get what I mean with the fucking shroud emitters. And here's some Zepho runes, which is the runes of some of like ancient species that you see in Jedi Fallen Order. This is something that I wanted to lead into because of like all the cultures and like Force-sensitive species out there in the galaxy, basically older than the Jedi Order itself. So I wanted to take that into consideration while designing this hilt. Then moving down, and we have the activation switch here, an exposed blue kyber crystal, and this is definitely partially inspired by Starkiller's lightsaber from the Force Unleashed, and I'm just a huge sucker for exposed kyber crystals, so I just had to go for this, as to make it like fit with the vibe of the hilt. Then, and another detail I wanted to point out is that along the entire hilt I had like golden wooden streaks to give it more of like an ancient and primitive vibe, because when the Jedi Order started out, I wanted to make it look like there were a bunch of different like whatever materials were available before the Old Republic era, before they started using like actual full-blown lightsabers. So I wanted to have some gold holding wooden streaks, kind of like what you would see in like the elemental nature hilt at Galaxy's Edge, and what Gunji saber is made out of. So I wanted to go for that. And moving down from the crystal, we got the symbol of the earliest incarnation of the Jedi Order symbol. And as you can see, there's both like a light and dark sides to it, which makes me believe that if the Dawn of the Jedi movie directed by James Mangold actually moves forward, what if they're actually going to like explore how the light and dark sides like broke off from each other, and how like the first Dark Jedi came to be? This would be really interesting. And I wanted to put this on the hilt because of like the earliest incarnations of the Jedi Order, with both the light and dark sides of how they like started to discover her midichlorians and how they use the Force. So it has a really a yin and yang look to it with both the light and black. I like that a lot. And down here we have some more ancient Zepho runes that you also see on some of the Sith runic language. And to finish things off at the bottom of the hilt is sort of like this tooth or like fang thing at the bottom. If you ever been to Galaxy's Edge and built a Sabi's Workshop lightsaber, or you remember like the Rancor tooth pommel, so I wanted to put that on the bottom to give it more of like an ancient and primitive vibe. But yeah, this is basically my concept of drawing for what the first ever lightsaber built by the Prime Jedi in 25,000 BBY would look like. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video about my fan-made concept about what the first ever lightsaber hilt would look like. And leave a comment down below. Are you excited for the Dawn of the Jedi movie? And if so, do you think this is pretty close to what the first Jedi would design it like? But yeah, have a great rest of your day. May the Force be with you. Always.
Yes, the one we've been looking for.
How do you know this?
He knows the ways of the Force. He's been trained to use the dark side.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.